Welcome back to the channel, guys. You can see we've been doing a little work to the no prep car recently. The motor's hanging out of it now, and no, I'm not changing motors or anything like that. In that last video, I kind of showed you how the back end of the car was moving around a little bit, mainly the shock tower and stuff. And I wasn't really happy with that. I wanted to make it more rigid. The first thing I noticed, which you might have seen in that, was the transmission case actually bolts to the shock tower, and one of the holes that the screw goes through was broken. I don't think it was tightening up right or all the way. So I replaced that transmission case. You can see that footage here. I just went ahead and removed it. I did try something else. I wanted to try to fit an SC 6.1 transmission case into this truck, well, onto this short course chassis. And everything I looked at online, the two chassis between the SC5M and the 6.1 looks so close. I thought it was gonna work. So I bought a case just to try it out, and it doesn't fit. So I went back with the SC5M case. The thing you may see here is these rod ends I have bolted up, and it's time finally for a chassis brace. Ever since I did that slow-mo testing video, probably almost a year ago now, I noticed that there's some flex in the car. I mean, I don't know if you can see it here, but with me holding the rear end of the car down, I can actually still pick up the front of the car. There's some flex in the chassis here, basically right in front of the transmission. And I've been wanting to build a chassis brace. I just haven't really figured out how to do it until today. I finally came up with something. I got some parts coming in. Psych, my delivery isn't gonna be in time today. Doesn't look like it'll be in for a couple of days. It got delayed. So what I did was put the original brace back in. I tried to strengthen it up as best as possible. You can see we still have a little bit of chassis flex back here, but just for today, we're gonna run this like this because I wanna get some passes in. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually made a couple passes already. Was not happy with them at all. I might have a shot of one of them. The car is pulling left a lot. So first things first, I adjusted the preload on this left shock here. I'm gonna add a little preload to it, and hopefully that'll straighten the car out. If not, we're gonna add a little more. We're gonna keep adding, hopefully not too much, until the car goes straight. The car tracks straight perfectly fine going slow. It's just whenever I launched off the line, it was going left. I made one or two pretty solid passes, but the car tracked left the entire time. So hopefully that preload on the left side will fix that problem. Other issue I ran into is I stripped the spur gear today. Didn't get that on video. This is a 87 tooth. That's what I've been running for the longest. This is actually a 90 tooth. That's the only other one I have. I know that's kind of gonna change up a couple of things, acceleration wise, speed wise, which I didn't really want to do today, but to be able to keep running, that's what I did for today. I'll make some adjustments in the ESC if needed for that. So we got a few things to go over now. You could see those first couple of passes, I was still struggling. I ended up having to put a whole lot of preload in the rear, more than I would have liked. You can maybe see back there, we actually have over a 1/4 inch, probably close to 3/8 of an inch of preload in the left rear shock. That was the only way the car would go straight. You could see that even when I did launch straight, the car was still pulling left down track. I'm thinking that has something to do with the chassis flex, and we're gonna fix that whenever those parts come in, but we're gonna talk more about that in a little bit. After finally getting the preload straight, you could see I was making some better passes, even though the car was still drifting left. We ended up with a 245 at 62 miles an hour, which was really nice. A lot of people say that the performance analyzer is 2/10 slow, so that would have been a 225 at 62 miles an hour. After that, I added a little more power in, hoping to get to closer to 65 miles an hour, and you saw the car launch and pull the front wheels off the ground pretty high, and I realized my wheelie bar was way too high. Dropped the wheelie bar down and made my best pass of the day. Pretty straight, just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of driving the car. It ran another 245, but only at 60 miles an hour this time, which is telling me that my battery was dying. But to run another 245 while dropping 2 miles an hour tells me that that pass would have been better. I would like to make a few more passes today, but I'm not going to for a couple of reasons. I really want to strengthen up the back of this chassis and make it stiffer before I make some more passes. I have something in the works though that is going to eliminate that. I'm sure most of you have seen the new Associated DR10M by now, the mid-motor DR10. I'm on the pre-order list, so the old B5M, SC5M chassis is going to be no more. That car definitely eliminates all of my rear end problems, the flexing of the chassis. The carbon fiber chassis, all of the aluminum bulkhead parts, that car is going to be really strong. And I'm really excited to get it in and do an in-depth review of it. Take all of the stuff from this car, put it on that car, and learn that car. I know it's going to be a little different, but hopefully with my mid-motor experience with this car, it'll be an easy transition. I'm still going to go ahead and strengthen up the rear of this and put those chassis braces in, because that car's not going to be until most likely mid-May, so I still can do some testing with this and figure out the electronics a little more, the programming with the Macklin. And the other thing I'm going to do, I mentioned this a while back, but I picked up the 4-gear transmission for the B5M a while back, and what that'll do is actually flip the motor around, and the rotating force that the motor causes should help drive the rear tires into the ground better. It's the same style of transmission, same layout that's going to be in the DR10M, so I want to kind of acclimate myself to it, get used to it. So we're going to be putting that in whenever we put those chassis braces in. And yes, it will kind of be some differences from what I'm used to running now, but it'll get me prepared for when that new car comes in. The other thing I forgot to mention though, back to this car, I know I'm all over the place, those last 2 passes were without the 2-step in the Grotner radio. That was all in the ESC. You saw that first one with the wheels coming off the ground pretty quickly, and that's when I kind of turned it down a little bit more in the Macklin. But we have eliminated the start function, 2-step function, whatever you want to call it, in the Grotner radio. So now I'm all in the ESC. It makes it a lot simpler to tune. I don't have to bounce back and forth between both things. If the car has too much power, I know where to take it out of. It's still nice to have the Grotner. Let's say I'm on a new street and I don't have time to test or nothing like that. I don't have time to figure it out. I can easily drop down a little bit of power early in the pass with that, but I mainly want to do all my tuning here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be getting closer down into that 2 flat second range. I want to get to 65 to 70 miles an hour, and we'll be getting closer to the times that I want to see. That way, when the new car comes in, we'll do a whole build series on that car, but we'll be able to drop everything in and hopefully hit the ground running, or not spinning, but going straight. So make sure to subscribe to follow along with this car as we're getting ready for the DR10M. I'll have a bunch of videos on that car when it comes in, so you won't want to miss those. And I almost forgot, we did hit 10K subscribers, so thank you all so much for that. I appreciate the support. I've learned a lot over the past couple of years between YouTube and drag racing and RC in general, and I can't wait to learn more and bring you guys along for the ride with me. As always, thanks again for watching. Peace.